How's everybody doing tonight? Johnny from On the Come Up Trading, going to be going over some live charting for some watches for Friday, December 17th, 2021. I will be going over AFRM, Microsoft, Nvidia, Oracle, Pfizer, QualComm, QQQ, Roku, Schwab, and SPY. Uh, start off with the disclaimer. This is not financial advice. Stream is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. On the Come Up Trading will not be held liable for any actions you take as a result of something you saw or heard here. So we are going to start with AFRM on the 5-minute time frame. Go ahead and get my drawing tools ready. So for AFRM, I would like to see an upside break over 99.85, and we'll go ahead and mark the downside here. So if we break over 99.85, we'll be looking at the $101 calls, expiration December 17th. Go ahead and chart our support and resistances here. So we had a free fall today from AFRM. If we go in and look at the news, the headline from about 1 o'clock today says AFRM Holdings gets regulator notice over buy now, pay later services, and the shares fall sharply. This is coming from TradingView News. So between the market being down all day, SPY and QQQ getting murdered, and the news from AFRM, everything just fell pretty sharp. So for AFRM, if we break over the 99.85, the first target I'm going to throw up here would be the 101.67 area. And our next target over 101.67, if we trace all the way back to here, looking for intersecting support and resistance zones, we would be looking at 103.55. Let's see, is that right? Sorry, 103.30 for our next area of support and resistance. Above 103.30, the next area of resistance we'd be looking for, in my opinion, would be the 105 area. So AFRM over 99.85, let's just call it 100. We'll be looking at the 101 calls, expiration December 17th. Right now, the ask on those is $2. The volume is about 1,095. So looking at the volume on the 101s from today was 1,095. Open interest was only 24. So if we break below 96.21, we will be looking at the $95 puts, expiration December 17th. On the $95 puts, the volume on those today was about 5,162. Open interest 721. The IV on those is pretty heavy, about 110%. So that's pretty heavy IV. So if we break under 96.20 area, our first area of support would be 94.76 would be our first target. Our second target would be 93.27, and our third target would be 92.06 at the low from today, Thursday. So under 96.21, be looking at the $95 calls. The ask on those is $1.70. And those have pretty good volume. So if we continue to see a downside tomorrow, I'm not sure with the quad witching going on exactly what's going to happen, but I have a feeling we're going to be bearish tomorrow. So now we move from AFRM and we go to Microsoft. So Microsoft on Wednesday had a huge run up. I mean, this thing just took off after the FMOC meeting. This candle here, it dropped down about noon. Then we kind of went sideways from noon till almost 2 o'clock. And at 2 o'clock, when FMOC started, this thing just took off. Then after hours and pre-market, we had a continued upwards trend. And then once the day opened, it just sold off and came all the way back down to having lower lows than the previous day. So on Microsoft, if we break above 326.83, so if we can trace it all the way back to over here, intersecting in, so 326.83. If we break over that, let me get my options chain pulled up for Microsoft. Over 326.83, we'll be looking at the 327.50 calls, expiration December 17th. Those had volume today of about 8,218 contracts traded, open interest of 4,601 contracts, IVs right at about 30%. The ask on those right now is $1.47. So if we break over the 326.83, our first target would be 327.90. Second target would be 328.68. And third target, in my opinion, if we look for this intersection here of support and resistance, would be $330.60. To the downside, I'm going to go ahead for the downside, and we're going to play it off here. So if we break under 323.77, we will be looking at the 322.50 puts, expiration December 17th. Those had volume of 4,466 contracts traded, and I am looking at volume on Webull only, so this does not include other brokerage, but 4,466 contracts traded, open interest of 3,577 with IV at 20.2% roughly. So if we break under the 323.77, our first target would be low of the day from today, 323.02, so we will just call it 323. Then I'm going to switch to a higher time frame here to get the next targets. So under our second target, 323.02 is the first. Our second target would be 322.23, and our third target would be 320.90. If you look at the trading from intraday on Wednesday, where we had the massive run up, and then the sell-off today where everything dropped down, looking at the chart here for intraday and pre-market and after hours trading, we have an inverse cup and handle on the 1 hour time frame. So if we are bearish tomorrow, we could see a farther breakdown. From the pattern on the chart, I think we will see some more sell-off tomorrow. I'm a bull at heart, so I would like it to return back up to the upside, but that is not what this chart is showing us. So now we're going to move to Nvidia. It is also showing us a really big cup and handle on the 1 hour time frame. I do not like that. So for Nvidia, we're going to drop back down to the 5-minute. This thing just got absolutely demolished today. 312 was the high of the day. So if we look here, high 312.74 was the pre-market high, and then we ended the day at 281.81. I mean, that was just a huge drop. I don't know why they had to do Nvidia like that, but anyway, so on Nvidia, we break above the 283.87. Pull up the options chain here, 283.87. We will be looking at the 285s are a little expensive in my opinion, and we had such a huge sell-off, we can probably go a little farther out. Let's look at the 287.50 calls, expiration December 17th. Those had a volume of 11,964 contracts traded with open interest of 2,749. Your IV on those is roughly 42%. That IV is high. So we break above that, the after hours trading there. Your first target, 285.17. Second target would be 286.49. And third target would be 287.46. I believe if we return bullish on this, we will see a bigger upside than that and have some correction. But like I said, we look at this, what it's showing us on the 1 hour time frame, and it is just, you know, that cup and handle, that inverse cup and handle is just nasty looking. So we got our huge, we got our huge cup here, handle, and normally it just goes like this. So hopefully that's not what happens, but one can hope, right? To the downside, let me get my chart organized here. On a downside play, if we break under 280.14, we will be looking at the 277.50 puts, expiration December 17th. Those ran up 800% today. Good. That was, if anybody had those from open, you made bank. So those had a volume of 7,897 contracts traded, open interest of 2,025. IV on those is roughly 37%, not as high as the call IV, but pretty close, about 3% off. So we break under those, the 280s, 277.50s is what we're going to be looking at. So let's see here. So that pre-market there is roughly about the same. So we're going to go for the next downside, and the biggest intersection for me is right there. So your first target would be 279.20. Second target being 278.51. And third target 277.30. I like that intersection there. So one thing you had to remember with support and resistance, targets and charting, is they're not always exactly, what they're charted out at, but it should be somewhere in the ballpark. So like I said, from what it's showing us on the chart, we should see a breakdown on this to the lower side if the cup and handle holds true. Now we're going to move on to Oracle. And all I can say is, what the hell happened to Oracle after hours? I mean, this thing, it closed, let's see, at 4 o'clock. We closed, the low on that candle was 103.22. And and then after hours ended at roughly $100. So we had about a $3 drop there. Looking at the news, I really don't see anything that shouts, drop me $3 after hours, but that's pretty drastic drop. But one thing we can say about Oracle is we have a huge potential downside. So from where it ran up the other day on earnings. So it beat earnings on the earnings per share and revenue. So it beat both the estimated and it beat the estimate on revenue by about 0.16 billion, and it beat the estimate on the earnings per share by about 10 cents. So Oracle, if we break over $100.25, pull up the options chain. We break over 125. We'll be looking, I'm going to go with the 102 calls, expiration December 17th. Your volume on those today was 600, but the open interest is 1,710 contracts. And the IV on those is about 36. So if we break over that to the upside, first target would be 101.12. Second target, I'm going to go with about 101.50. And our third target, which is an intersection of support and resistance, would be 101.89. This is also showing a inverted cup and handle. Now, Oracle would be a huge percentage gain if we see a downside flush back down to reality. Those earnings were good, but I don't know if they justify how much it spiked. We'll call that an overreaction, I guess, or just pumping on good news. So on Oracle, if we break below 99, we will be looking at the $98 puts, expiration December 17th. Volume on those was only 103. Open interest is 1,067. IV is 32%. The ask on those is only 4 cents right now. So this may be something, if we see a downside move pre-market, to hop into early, and we could see some huge gains from this if we get a flush down. This will be on my top watch for tomorrow. So we break under 99. If we break under 99, we'll look for this support and resistance intersection here. Our first target would be 98.43. Second target, 97.88. And let me zoom in here. I can't see that good. Sorry, guys. I'm going to give a third target of 97.10. And then after that, 95.25. 94.25. And then if we flush all the way down to that, back to reality, 90.73. So that is a pretty big drop. If the pattern holds true, we should see a flush down. Keep this one on your top watch. Next, we are going to move to Pfizer. So Pfizer, if we zoom out on the daily, this thing is just gone. all-time highs. High of 61.43 all-time. So right now we're at 61.08. So for the upside, we're going to be looking for a break over 61.43 of all-time highs. And over 61.43, I would say the $63 calls, which ran 371% today. Volume on those, actually we'll go with the $62 calls. Volume on those today was 21,176. Open interest 3,030. IV on those is 52, which is relatively high, and the ask on those contracts is 56 cents. So for anything at all-time highs, if we break over that level, all your targets need to be psychological. So over 61.43, I'm going to set the first target for 62, our second target for 62.50, and our third target for 63. For a downside play, we'll go with this intersection of support and resistance here. So this resistance, you go up, consolidate, breaks through, turns into support. So under 60.72, we will be looking at the 59.50 puts, expiration December 17th. Volume on those was 8,578. Open interest is really low of 127. IV on those is 41%. So under 60.72, first target, we'll give some more range here. 60.29. Second target 59.86. And your third target would be 59.48. Pfizer, I'm kind of mixed on this, where if we go to a bigger time frame, we kind of do have a bull flag going on right now, a nice run up flag. So we should either see a break up to the top side or to the downside. I would like to see this one continue upward. It's been on a tear lately. If we zoom out on the 15-minute, draw a trend line, I mean, you know, we could just see a nice continued upward momentum on that one. So QualComm is my next one. QualComm got absolutely destroyed today too. You see this one on the 15-minute chart had your nice cuff and handle, cup, little handle, and then it broke down. So we'll be looking at the 5-minute time frame. So QualComm going to be looking for a break above 179.43. Over 179.43. We'll be looking at the 182.50 calls, volume on those 2,696, open interest 2,745 with an IV of about 47.5. The ask on those is 77 cents at close today. So we break above that, first target would be 180.54. Second target 181.74. And your third target here would be 182.39. If we break below the low of today, 176.11, We pretty much filled the gap from here, but if we break under 176.11, be looking at the 175 puts. The ask on those was $1.24 at close. Volume 4,793. Open interest $2,323. Your IV is 41%. So under 176.11. Our first target, and here through this intersection. Let me zoom in here. Eyesight's going bad looking at these monitors every day. I'm going to go out to the 1 hour so we can get some a better view here. So first target would be 175. Second target 174.11. And let's see where we got the most intersection. 172.27 to the downside. So huge cup and handle. Cup. Cup. Little handle and breakdown. So patterns don't always hold true, but if they do, that's what happens. QQQ. Another cup and handle. So this seems to be the trend. So I'm going to remove these drawings. So QQQ, huge sell-off today, but on Wednesday, huge run-up after FMOC. You know, beginning of the day, we kind of shot up a little bit. We took it down. Then at 1:55, 2 o'clock, the rally started and the thing just took off during intraday and after hours and pre-market. Then today we just opened and it got slaughtered all day. So the puts on this thing, I think the highest one I see was the 180. Excuse me. The highest runner on these puts was about 490% on the 392.50s is the highest I see. So QQQ, be looking for a break above 387.80. Then be looking at I'm going to go with the 390 calls. Volume on these was 55,706. Open interest 20,388. IV is only at roughly 17%. That's pretty good. Lots of volume on those. So we break above those. Be looking at the 390 calls. First target would be 388.85. Second target would be 389.73. And your third target would be 390.85. This is, like I said, also showing this huge, disgusting looking inverse cup and handle. So could see a breakdown on this even farther. I would like it to continue up. I'm going to go with the Pandanomics, Harmonomics, whatever you want to call it on this. Want to end the year with QQQ and SPY and a bullish run. That would be good for Santa Rally and for New Year's. So QQQ under 385.72. We will be looking at the 384 puts, expiration December 17th. Your volume on those was 17,946. Open interest 18,470. IV on those is 17%. So we break under that level. Our first target would be your low of the day, 385.21. Second target would be 384.42. And your third target would be 383.78. A lot of these charts showing the same pattern. So like I said, tomorrow, quad witching, I have a feeling that we're going to see a bigger downside, guys. That's just my opinion, though. So we'll have to see what happens. Going to move to Roku. Or move these drawings from the chart. So Roku did the exact opposite yesterday. It just got slaughtered. And then between after hours and pre-market, it came back up. Today it came back up. So on Roku, for the upside, I'm going to go with a break over the daily high of 220.70. Over 220.70, we'll be looking at the 222.50 calls, expiration December 17th. Your volume was 1,997 and your open interest was 383. The IV on those, though, is super high at 77%. So if we break over that, first target would be this level here of intersection. Multiple times it hit this wall, didn't get over it, just barely broke through here and went back down. So your first target would be 222.63. Second target, here would be 225.74. And your third target would be 226.83. So Roku is one of the only ones we've looked at that is not showing that ugly inverse cup and handle. On Roku, if we break under this level here, 215.02, we'll be looking at the $212.50 puts. Your volume on those was 2,155. Open interest of 338. IV is 63. So your first target on those would be 212.94. Second target 211.35. And your third target would be 210.10. Now we're going to look at Charles Schwab. Banks just had an astronomical run today. This one will also be on top watch for tomorrow. Just had this huge gap up. I think we could see a bigger downside on this, but this is also showing you can almost call this, it had a head and shoulders, then it broke the neckline, went down. Now it kind of looks like a cup and handle. So if we go out to the 1 hour, it is kind of showing a cup and handle formation. So for upside movement on Charles Schwab, we're going to look here over 84.65. Over 84.65, we'll be looking at the $85 calls, expiration December 17th. Volume on those was 2,749, but open interest is 14,375 contracts. That's a lot of open interest on those contracts. So does somebody know something we don't know? Maybe, maybe not. So over that, $85 calls. First target 84.98, we'll just call it 85. So second target, 85.54. And your third target, 85.75. We zoom out to the daily. We are at all-time highs today. So anything over 85.75, like I'm talking about psychological numbers, the all-time high is 85.75. That is a psychological number. Everybody thinks in quarter, half, three-quarter, whole dollar amounts. If we break under 83.70, well, excuse me, right now we are at 83.50 is where we ended at 6:30. But so we break under 83.44, we will be looking at the 82.50 puts expiration December 17th. Volume on those is only 23, open interest 523. So we break below that. First target of intersection, $82.87. Second target, $82.57. And your third target would be $82.18, which is all pretty much a gap right there, all the way down. Gonna move on to last but not least, SPY. Looking at the 1 hour. Remove these drawings. So kind of looking at an inverted cup and handle here as well. Cup, handle. So we could see a farther breakdown. That seems to be the going consensus on all the charts today. So SPY over this area of support and resistance that intersects here. 467.60 over 467.60. We'll be looking at the 469 calls. Actually, we'll go with the 470s because the 470s have double the amount of volume. So the volume on those is 212,391 with open interest of 61,324. IV is roughly 13%. The ask on those was 44 cents at close. So we break over 467.60. Be looking at the 470 calls. First target would be 468.33. Second target 468.66. And your third target would be 469.18. If we break under 465.89, we'll be looking at the 465 puts, expiration December 17th. Those have a 153,655 volume. Open interest is 37,398. IV is roughly 12.5%. The ask on those was $1.92. So we break under that. Your first target, we're going to go $464.81. $464.44. And third target being 463.87. Hopefully all these inverted cup and handles doesn't mean what I think they mean, but all I can say is tomorrow is definitely going to be a volatile day with the quad witching and the drastic run up we had on Wednesday and the huge sell-offs today. It'll probably be super choppy in my opinion. If you guys like my video, found it helpful or anything like that, hit the subscribe, like, leave a comment. I know my voice can be very robotish and pretty boring, but hopefully this helps somebody. If you guys like this charting platform, it's called TradingView. I have a link to it in the description. It is very good, lots of indicators. And that's it for tonight. So see you guys tomorrow. Hope everybody had a green day. If you had a red day, hopefully you minimized it to only being a little bit red.